Today on Car Traction, I'm on my beautiful 1927 CWS Path Racer bicycle. Now today we are off to a vintage car meeting on a lovely Thursday evening. And I'm taking this, and just behind me you might be able to hear I'm being chased down by Dad in the 1954 Renault 4CV. I think he's about to come past. And there it goes. Might have to have a little race on the way back, but I'm just going gentle on the way there. So yeah, let's see what turns up at a new location for the VSCC evening car meeting of, what is it, April now, April 2025, and see what beautiful pre-war cars we will see on this lovely, lovely evening. Now let's just get there. Now, while Dad is in the 1954 Renault 4CV, the VSCC is usually made for pre-1930 cars, with a few exceptions. There should be some really nice things turning out on a lovely evening like this, but as I can't afford cars yet, and as this is pre-1930, I think it'll fit in just right. 20 kilogram bike with 3 gears, not good at hills, but I do really enjoy riding this thing. And I wasn't going to pass up an opportunity to, 1, see some vintage cars, and 2, go for a lovely vintage bicycle ride. Such a nice evening like this. I've actually just overshot it. The pub's actually here, but the site of the car meet is down here. Here we are. Hello. So here I am in the 1927 CWS Path Racer, and usually the sort of thing I'm saying when we arrive at these places is here we are, but actually it's Mum and Dad in the Renault 4CV today and me on my 2-wheeled velocipede. This car hasn't actually appeared much on the Car Traction channel that much recently, so here you go. Recently had a new condenser to sort out a couple of little running issues. In fact, we can have a little look at the engine under here. I'll just have to hold that up. So a little look at the engine here, the magic coil, there's actually another one there, I think it's getting a bit hot there, and Dad's amazing heat shield, quite an unusual design being a water cooled and rear-engined car. Usually most rear-engine cars, Porsches, Beetles, air-cooled, but this being 1954, very early for a water-cooled unit. And also that is the fuel filler cap right above some of the important electricals of the engine. So a funny little French-designed car, designed during World War II, I think, under the noses of the Germans. So that is our Renault 4CV, and there are a few pre-war and other post-war cars here to check out, and I'm sure there'll be more turning up before long. Next to us, absolutely dwarfing the little Renault, is this stunning vintage Lagonda, early 1930s in era, most likely. At a guess I'd say. What an absolutely immaculate car this is. Tonneau cover, so elegant. Clearly restored at some time. Being a Lagonda, it's probably got a big meaty capacity 6-cylinder engine up front in it. Just a stunning car, beautiful, all one piece, those wings from the end of the running board all the way up to here, one piece. Absolutely gorgeous design. I'd love to see the engine of that because it would be a sight to behold. Yeah, absolutely, just photogenic car, stunning. That is the best that pre-war cars get, or certainly very close to it. Next to it is this is a Lancia. Is it like a little Aurelia or something? I really don't know Lancias of this date, because this isn't incredibly, actually all 3 cars here are actually incredibly rare. Very exclusive little meeting for us today. So this is obviously not a VSCC car. I'm not sure who owns this, but this is a sort of early to mid 1950s era Lancia. I don't think it's like a Flaminia, I think it's an Aurelia. Look at that interior. Absolutely stunning dials, the sort of thing that was very successful in its time, and the likes of the Mille Miglia road races. the times when vintage cars, or classic cars in this case, were raced on roads with no speed limits and the public still just minding their own business. You just sort of had to survive, basically. Look at that beautiful classic Italian coupe. Absolutely beautiful fittings, Temperato CT original glass. And you see how that window will probably most likely go like that to open. Interesting steel wheels, this one, and hubcaps. Absolutely gorgeous classic Lancia here. I really do like that, actually, in the baby blue. And here is a car that should have featured on the channel before. This is either the oldest or one of the oldest Aston Martins that is surviving to this day. This is the Aston Martin TT2, 1922 I think it is, vintage racing car. Something else is coming in. I think it's a little, well, not little at all actually, an old Alvis. Look at that, very smart. I'm sorry, this camera, you can't really see great distances, but I think that's an Alvis 1250 or 1260 four-seater tourer. Wow. Beautiful big four-cylinder engine, making a lovely noise. And it's another four-cylinder in this car. So this car has a really interesting history, as I think possibly the oldest surviving original Aston Martin. It originally was a race car, as I said, and it had like an overhead valve, really tuned up engine, but then I think after a year or so the engine was swapped to be a side valve four-cylinder in this car instead, but I'm sure a fairly large capacity side valve 4 in it. And as I had a ride in this car, and actually a really low revving car, it only gets up to about 3,500 revs, but it's such a big sort of capacity side valve four-cylinder that it has all the torque you'd ever need. Recently had a new floor in it. I actually went over to the owner's place while he was in the process of making this new floor, so that is pretty cool. And as you can see, you're sat right on the floor on those beautifully weathered leather seats. A super, super interesting vintage era racing car, this one. Absolutely exquisite fittings. The variable damping there on the shock absorbers on the front. You can see the radiator here. At the moment it's in the cool running sort of position, but those slats would rotate like that for it to run hotter. And that's also the very early design of Aston Martin logo there, with my reflection in the background. And it does actually get used quite a lot by its owner, that car, so that is good. And now let's have a little look at this, either an Alvis 1250 or 1260 four-seater tourer, once again with the same variable damping control down there on the shock absorbers. Vintage Sports Car Club badge, the VSCC, and the distinctive Alvis mascot there. Beautiful, beautiful car once again. Super original leather interior, just a half tonneau cover on this one, that's just to protect the seats. They're just absolutely gorgeous, the fittings in this. There's a very, very quiet tick here coming from that absolutely gorgeous clock over there. Oil, battery charging and a couple of switches. And then that's your glorious Smith Speedo over there. Yeah, all the fittings on these 1930s era Alvises and all sorts of different manufacturers of cars, absolutely beautiful. These as well, look at these little rear lights, the Rubberlight flexible lamp. Look at that, little rubber fittings. Yeah, an example of a really usable pre-war car there, so a good little turnout so far, but let's see if anything else will turn out this evening. Here we have some new arrivals, starting off with the little Austin 7 Chummy, really early little car this, the four-seater just about saloon. Am I right in saying this has got a tuned engine in it? It has, yes. So this is a bit of a sleeper in Austin 7 terms.
Tweaked.
747cc, although it might have been, is it maybe enlarged or something?
Still is, yeah.
Oh, right. 15 brake? The Renault's 20 brake horsepower, so this is, but this is a lot lighter, and maybe more modern parts, believe it or not, like less mileage parts, if you know what I mean. That'd be quite good fun though, with a perky little engine. Then for something with a much more powerful engine, this is an MGC GT, but it's quite a special one because of these badges. Now this is the Downton tuned MGC, so it's like 185 brake. Or something, wasn't it? 185 brake horsepower, 3 litre BMC C-Series straight 6 engine in this. So it's effectively an MGB with a re-engineered front end, to accommodate the much larger 6-cylinder units as opposed to the 4-cylinder units. And actually there's some rallying timing gear, so maybe some competition this car's used for. That'll be fun to see. Glorious early MG era interior with the earlier sprung steering wheel. But that, especially with a slightly hopped up engine, would be so much fun to drive.
It sounds nice, doesn't it?
It does sound very, very healthy, yeah.
Tasty.
It's a lovely
Aluminium
car.
bonnet.
Yes, aluminium bonnet with the hump for the bigger engine for the carb, I guess, isn't it? Is it single carb? Would it be a few of them?
Triple,
Yeah, I was going to say. But they're sort of at like kind of that angle, so you only need the hump at that bit.
Yeah. Bigger diameter wheels compared to the MGB.
Probably wider as well, I guess, aren't they?
Compared to the regular B.
Knock-off spinners. Yeah. It's a really good looking car, this. There they are, look at the driving gloves. I don't know whether you can see them in there, but there's some actually really nice, like,
very natty, aren't they?
Sort of 60s, 70s driver gloves. I rate that. Some quite cool wing mirrors as well, actually. And then on the end, so is this an Ulster or an Ulsteroid?
It's an Ulster replica.
Ulster replica, which some people call an Ulsteroid or something, isn't it? Yeah, so an Austin 7. So this is the same car as the Chummy we saw before, but perhaps slightly later era, and this is like the racing body on it. Once again, some very, very cool dials here.
Originally, they were called the EA Sports.
What, this body?
Yeah, when they sold these originally, it was called the EA Sports, but then the unofficial name was the Ulster, because they raced in the Ulster TT.
Is this the Brooklyn silencer? Is that what you call these, isn't it? Yeah. And this sounded really healthy on the way in. Once again, another 747cc side valve, 4-cylinder. That's the ignition, or is it advance and retard? So when you're starting, is it you advance?
You retard it to start.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah, and then you advance it as soon as you. That's the fuel.
So it changes at what point the spark happens in the sort of distributor cycle.
Yeah. That's the fuel.
Yes, I was looking at that. That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, you just take it off and you dip the tank.
Oh, dumb question. Maybe folding windscreen, and then you fold this down, and then the Brooklyn's aero screens. Yep. So this is kind of a replica, but it's all done with really nice old parts and fittings, isn't it? Yeah, this car gets absolutely everywhere.
Yes.
Quite a mascot on it as well. I love old car mascots. Yeah, good little turnout for so early in the evening.
Like a drop front axle on these.
Yes,
as well.
to get the weight low down, I guess, isn't it? See how it goes like that. That's the problem with a lot of little specials. They put the body sort of mounted on top of the chassis.
If you compare it to the Chummy, it hasn't got a drop front axle.
Right, yeah. So you see on the Chummy, axle all straight, and then on the Racer, to have the body mounted lower, more aerodynamic, and maybe lighter as well, it is curved as well. Is that the steering box linkage? Is it
it's
there?
The steering linkage.
Yeah, so it only sort of pushes on one side, and then it just sort of sorts out the other side. Yeah. Steering box.
Yeah, that's your steering.
Yes.
And then this one in at the back. Connects over to here.
That's also got a bit of a curve on it, and then it pushes it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Very simple setup. Drum brakes on the front as well, actually, didn't it? Yeah. I thought maybe some of these might not have on the one.
No, they've got brakes front and rear.
Because our old Dodge didn't have brakes on the front. Leather strap. Yeah, it's a great looking little car, this. And yeah, good little turnout considering how early it is this evening for the VSCC car meeting, including some actual VSCC cars and some later classic cars. Right, well, I think the sun has pretty much set now. I don't know if you can see it, but there are loads of midges around this evening, and very, very soon the many vintage cars and us in the effectively brand new, by comparison, Renault 4CV will be off. And I'll be off on the 1927 CWS Path Racer. Do let me know if you enjoyed this little quick video of a very nice evening meeting. Subscribe, check out the channel homepage for various old car related videos, and that's it. Thanks for watching.